like to call to order the meeting of the Allegheny County Board of Education for September 10th, 2024. Would you please stand for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Mr. Llewellyn, reading of the closed session summary for executive session held August 13th.
The Allegheny County Board of Education met in closed session on August 13th, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. here at Central Office. The purpose of the closed session was to consult with legal counsel, discuss personnel matters, and engage in administrative function. All 5 board members were present and voted to go into closed session. The topics discussed were Unit 2 positions, employee investigation, employee salary, SSE benefits, school property issue, and community use of school facilities.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Ms. Bender?
Second.
Ms. Lepley? Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Next is the superintendent's report and introduction of the student board member.
Yeah, I'd like to welcome Aowen as a student board member here for her first meeting. And if you want to just take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Aowen Amani Hansrote. I go to Mount Ridge High School. I don't really know what else to say.
Well, you're a senior.
I am a senior.
And you're looking at what are you thinking about doing after you graduate high school?
I don't know. I really enjoy plants, so I'm hoping to major in horticulture.
Oh, great. Yeah. Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Next is Mr. Rumgay.
Good afternoon. I'll be real quick. Over the summer, we had an opportunity to hold a 2-day training session to all ACPS supervisors, principals, assistant principals. We had food service, transportation, attended training at the Alleghany College of Maryland. The training was conducted by an individual by the name of Andy Arnold, who was phenomenal for the I Love You Guys Foundation. Some of you may recall last year we adopted a portion of the platform of I Love You Guys into the school year, and it took pretty much the whole school year just to implement that part. The neat thing about it was that we were able to have members of the Cumberland Police Department, Allegheny County Sheriff's Office, Frostburg City Police Department, 911 Emergency Services, 911 dispatchers. I think that's all of them. Oh, Allegheny College Security. And we had administrators from Frederick and Garrett County Public Schools also attend. The training focused on the importance of planning and preparing for potential emergencies. Attendees were educated on the Standard Response Protocol, also known as the SRP. Those directives are hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. That's the language that we use across the district in an event of a incident happening at the school. By having these different agencies attend, it gave us the opportunity to address the language barriers across the different organizations during a crisis. As former law enforcement, I can tell you that when something got called into the school system, the dispatchers interpret it a certain way, dispatch it out a different way. Now, by having all these agencies together, everybody speaks the same language. And I think that's a very important topic. We also learned about the standard reunification method, which centers on reunifying students with their parents after a major event. During the training, participants were able to take on different roles of the reunification process. They were able to be part of the Incident Command Center, help implement plans, and were given the opportunity to see the process from both the parent and the student perspectives. Back to the standard response protocol, it allows students and parents and first responders to share a specific vocabulary for responders to share a specific vocabulary for quick coordinated action for any incident. This helps everyone have a better understanding of what actions are needed, but also allows for flexibility to specific situations. In closing, I believe that a solid foundation was established as a result of this training, which will help us all in continuing our efforts and duty in keeping our students safe and secure.
Yeah, I wanted to echo that several administrators, obviously I didn't get an opportunity to talk to all of them about the training, but I'm sure that you had the positive feedback. The first day, it was a sit and take, and it was a long day. You're learning and hearing a lot of things. The second day was completely hands-on, and everybody rotated and got to be in a different role. And when you go through that, where you're actually doing it, seeing it's one thing, doing it is knowing how to do it. So I compliment, Andy was very complimentary of you and very complimentary of the two-day event. He goes all over the country doing these, and he was impressed with the participation and especially the level of involvement with the different groups. When we had transportation there and we had all the different groups that were there, he doesn't get all of them all the time like that. So if there's anything you want to add with the compliment from Andy.
Well, the big takeaway was that I can tell you in my 25 years of trainings and seminars that I went to, that he was probably the best instructor that I've been across. His message was, he got his message across, and what Mr. Blank said, we had educators and law enforcement spend 2 days together, which was neat. You know, it's a relationship building. You never know when we're going to cross paths, and the first day was all classroom, so to speak, and what we learned for day one, the second day was all scenarios. So we took away day one into day two, so instead of reading more or doing more, we actually got to walk the exercises that we learned from the first day. I can't say enough about it. It was good for everybody, and I had a lot of administrators saying, you know, it was an eye-opening experience for a lot of them, and so it was very beneficial. I still keep in touch with them today, and we have them as a resource for anything we need down the road. And
we've continued with these programs, and it's just the beginning. We still have a lot of ways to go. So we'll look forward to the next in-services.
Anthony, thank you for putting that together, and thank your guys. I know we're just starting the school year, you know, and I know they're already deeply involved with the kids in the schools. I'm sure as a board, appreciate everything they're doing, everything you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Ms. Simpson on the MCAP testing updates.
Good evening. Thank you for a few minutes of your time to discuss some of our testing results. There was a joke in the hallway that what am I going to present next month? So I said, well, we'll wait and see, I guess. But anyway, always a nice group to present to. So I wanted to start right off the bat just with some highlights. We did receive back all of our MCAP results. Been combing over those, analyzing them, looking deeply at them. Allegheny County Public Schools is above the state level of proficiency in 5 of 7 tested areas of ELA and above the state in 7 of 9 tested areas in math. Every middle and high school made gains in the social studies and government assessments. The science and social studies data is still embargoed by the state, so I won't be able to present that this evening. So you never know, maybe I will be back next month. Wanting to show you, always present, I think graphs are the best way to view instead of a bunch of numbers. It's just easier to capture in our minds, it seems. So we are the blue, and I put the state at the red. And you can see across, I like to show a big county picture of ELA 3 through 10. And I kind of like the picture that If we have a student proficient at grade 3, we like to make sure we hold them proficient at grade 4 and grade 5. If not, gain a few others that are not proficient. So we do hope for growth, but at the least, I described this to our supervisors and to our principals as kind of some calm water on the ocean, just out on your raft, floating around from grades 3 through 10, up and down a little bit, but no major storm. You will notice the very last bar I showed is ELA 10. It does say first time. That's the first test takers at ELA 10, because we do offer 11th graders the retake opportunity to become CCR. So that is what ELA looks like, just at a snapshot. We have broken down all of the data at the school level and to even teacher level. We are meeting with the principals, and I meet with all of their school improvement teams in order to analyze their data, determine the root causes, and strategies that will be implemented. Content supervisors and principals are looking at the data down to the specific standards of each content, as well as the specific teacher data. I also like to follow cohorts of students through. I have a plethora of graphs, if anybody likes graphs and wants to meet with me at some point, but I try to keep the meetings short and as what you all would mostly be interested in as a snapshot. But one thing we do like to see, because the State Department, they report grade 4, grade 4, grade 4. Well, we know every single year that's a different group of students coming in, that some groups are stronger than others. We do know our grade 5 students right now on this graph, which are now grade 6 students, were the students that were initially hit as first graders during COVID. So, we like to take a look at that, and we feel like, it took a lot of work those next couple of years, but we've really gained back that loss. The teachers worked incredibly hard to do so with that. But the cohort of students we like to follow, and I actually follow them from grades 3 clear through high school to make sure that we're not losing those students that were proficient. And if we do lose them, targeting certain areas clear down to their strengths and weaknesses as an individual student. This next graph shows the all counties in Maryland, and it ranks them according to their proficiency rates. We are smack in the middle, 12th of 24, and they do code the chart there according to gray, light pink, dark pink, and reds. The reds had the highest gains, and then the dark pinks were between, not gains, my apology, proficiency rates. And the dark pink had proficiency rates between 50 and 60%, which is where we fell for ELA. Moving on to math, which I said we were above the state level in 7 of 9. That is with the exception of Math 8 and Algebra 1. Right off the bat, I'll point out Math 8 because it looks like that's so incredibly low. You'll probably remember in years past I've explained 35 to 40% of our 8th graders take the Algebra 1 or geometry test, not the grade 8 test. This is just reporting grade 8 or the Math 8 test. If I take the entire 8th grade, so I gathered all of the information, rather they took the Math 8 test, the Algebra 1 test, or the geometry test, and I compiled all of that data together, and grade 8, as you can see, came out to be 20%, which is close to the 6th and 7th grade. Not what we still hope it to be, but it is not 6%. So wanting to point that out as well. This graph isn't a calm float on a calm day in the ocean, but I will point out that the levels decrease, but they decrease at the state level. We have found that this is more attributed to the test itself than our county's instruction or the teachers or the schools, what we're doing right or wrong, because as you can see, we're consistent and we're above the consistency even though each grade level does decrease in that proficiency rate. We're still not excusing that because like, oh, well, that's the state level the same as well. We want to keep students that were proficient at grade 3, proficient in grade 4 and 5. So we are doing lots of work right now, digging in, trying to see what we can do, what we're doing and what we're not doing. I mean, we're being real in our conversations. So, but much of, I will also point out, much of what is currently on an Algebra 1 test, even just 10 years ago, was an Algebra 2 test. Much of the information has been pushed down. I will say that, if I can just say for a minute, there's still a lot of conversation about like math has changed. And I just want to say math has not changed. I came from the world of math before coming here as supervisor. And while some content areas do change, science changes, history changes, I have a book that's over 100 years old up on my shelf in my office with the same exact math formulas that we still use today. And so I did want to, it'll take just a minute, but I wanted to tell you that what we dig into is called CRA. It's a concrete representation abstract model. In the past, we all learned, and I do feel this is important. I contemplated sharing this, but it's because we hear so many conversations about how different it is. What's different is this, and I'm going to show you. This is before students would ever get tested at grade 3. This would be, we still have a lot that just understand it, the abstract. If I would show you this problem, and I know everyone can solve it, but if you had to tell someone, what would you say to do? I used to be a teacher, so I have wait time in me. Okay, so I'm going to borrow one, and what do I do with that 3 then? Oh, so I just make the 3 a 13. Magically?
I'm not a teacher. I just know how to solve it straight up.
It's okay, Crystal. I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to get there together. And I want to show you at the, just real quick, at the 6th grade level. This was 6th grade. What an aha moment. So we have this problem, and I'm going to say you only have 3 little ones. And then you have your 10s and you have your 100s. But down here, Mr. Blanky has like a whole pile of money down here. Just keep in mind that he's like the banker, okay? And so you have 3, but Lori here says, hey, I need 7. Sorry about that. I need 7, so you have 3. Lori, tell her, say I need 7 ones.
I can't give you 7 ones. I have 3. You're going to need to make a change for this. 2 5s, then I can make it.
Oh, so what, you're going to exchange that, you said? You're going to have to make change?
Yeah.
And that's where you would give him the 10, and he would give you 10 ones. And I'm going to tell you what an aha moment this is. 10 ones, and how many did you have?
3.
And now how many do you have?
13.
And that's where almost everyone says, cross out the 8 and stick a 1 in front of the 3. But the kids could not explain why it became 13. And so this is the only part of what new math is. We didn't want students just to be able to solve that. We wanted them to understand it. And that's what MCAP asks. They ask them to write their responses of explaining math. Think how hard that is. It's very difficult. I just wanted that, and this is probably like a 1st or 2nd grade level, but I just wanted to give that. I thought it would shed some light on what is really expected in the explaining math. Think about having to explain fractions, multiplying fractions, linear equations, you know, all sorts of higher level math. So solving it is the abstract. The concrete is literally taking bills and showing students. And then in between there is a representation where they don't have bills during the test, but they could draw a diagram And so we're teaching them strategies. This was just one way to show you we are digging in and teaching different strategies, not just looking at some of this information lightheartedly. The math, as far as the state, we're at 12 of 24. Even though our math graph didn't look as great, we are at 12 of 24. Same exact as we were for ELA. Besides MCAP data, I do want to present also some reports of our AP exams, but I'll hit pause very quickly there just on MCAP to see if you have any questions. And thank you for letting me entertain you just a little bit. It reminds me of what kind of teacher I was. Very good. We'll make sure that you get extra points.
So I know I asked this last time. Is the state looking at the testing? Are they looking into that to change it? I mean, is testing that's the problem?
Well, we continue to say it's the problem. What they have continued to do, and is helpful, they did not previously even provide a bank of sample items or usable items. And they have now, just last year, created, there were a few sample tests, but they were very minimal on the website. There's now a site where they're starting to build a bank of kind of test items. One thing that's difficult to do is the test itself, where you have to write, there's a lot of drag and drops. It's all computer-based. And a lot of what we do in math isn't on the computer, so to take that, there just needs to be more computer-based items that we can practice on. Thank you for that question. Yes.
And I've asked this before too, but how would parents or students, for that matter, know what their MCAP scores are and where they're at in the process?
Excellent question. All MCAP scores are actually uploaded onto the student's Aspen page, and we also, by law, are required to send home their state MCAP reports within 30 days of receiving them. Schools just are receiving them this week. I just got notification, I think they arrived in the schools yesterday. So parents will be receiving. They're very nice reports. I also provide on our webpage an explanation of kind of understanding your child's MCAP report and breaks it all down. They break down the math report and the ELA report into subcategories so you can see if your child has strengths or weaknesses. I always call it either like thumbs up, middle, or thumbs down, or sometimes you see glass full, glass empty. They'll take the child's score, and on the back it will have like about 5 different subcategories and show you. So what we do is we look at the students that were almost proficient or we're wanting to show some growth, and we'll look at if that student was almost proficient, let's look at their subcategories. Well, they might have had 3 that glass was half full, and maybe 2 where the glass was full. So we know exactly where with that student that we need to focus. But scores are uploaded onto the student's Aspen page as well.
Are they there now, or is this something you just got?
They actually are there now, yes. The parents and students should see a side tab that shows assessments. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And then the next thing that I just quickly will share, very positive, some AP results. Overview, we had 202 students take 1 or more tests of the AP level. 340 tests were taken in Allegany County, and our overall pass rate, which you need a 3 or higher on AP exams, was 67%. That's an increase of 7% over last year. This is our 5th straight year of a pass rate over 50%, and ACPS exceeds the state pass rate in 8 of the 11 given exams. The last 10 years, I wanted to show you the trend of our pass rate. In 2015, it was barely above 40%, and now showing 67%. This is a nice positive graph to end on. So Dr. Thompson, the math supervisor, actually oversees the AP exams. And so I asked him, I said, what do you contribute our increase in our nice trend upwards? I love that, going up the roller coaster there. And we looked at this together and analyzed, and from 2018 to 19, Allegheny County implemented a district-wide end-of-course exam that we felt the teachers wrote, and they prepared according to what the students would need to know on that AP exam. That test is also worth 10% of the student's final grade. So I think at the 2018-19 mark, students started to take this a little bit more serious. In addition to that, Dr. Thompson said that teachers attend an AP Summer Institute where they learn the in-depth knowledge of what's on the AP coursework. They also learn different strategies. They're provided a lot of resources. And he said what's really encouraging is even teachers that have been to the Institute revisited the Institute because they're constantly improving that. So I think the training of the teachers, the students taking it a little more seriously with a district-wide exam that's worth 10% of their final grade. And then finally, we'll show you our pass rate on all the different exams. Once again, we're blue and the state is in red. So we can be extremely proud of what our students are accomplishing on these AP exams. As we know, many colleges recognize a 3 or above. Some you need a 4 or a 5, but this gives them their college credits in advance before they've even left high school. Any questions on the AP information? Thank you. And by the way, you can just keep the money. I mean, you know, don't try to spend it.
I'll give it to Mike. He wanted
Thank you. Next, Mr. Llewellyn has a unfinished business.
Yeah. So you have before you the brand new policy, trespassing or willful disturbance. This is on second read, and I'll note for you that there has been a change since the first reading, and that's policy committee developed the sample letter, which would be our sample no trespass letter, as an exhibit to the policy. So that's new for this reading. You can still pass it, and it'll be effective as of tonight with your passing it. So I can answer any questions. Otherwise, policy committee recommends you vote for it.
I need a motion to vote on the second reading.
Move to approve second reading of trespassing or willful disturbance policy, file KFA.
Dr. Bond?
Second.
Ms. Bender? Any questions? All those in favor? Passed unanimously. Anyone else? We're good? Okay, moving on. New business, Mr. Llewellyn.
Okay, now you have for first reading before you homeless children and youth policy, JLG. This one's back. It was a brand new policy that we actually had second reading of in August. Between that time and now, the policy was audited by somebody at MSDE. They want us to put in a definition of substandard housing. Policy committee took care of that. That's what's in yellow. And so we got to do 2 readings again, but here it is. So we recommend first reading.
I need a motion to approve first reading of file JLG.
I'd make a motion to approve the first reading of homeless children and youth policy file JLG.
Ms. Fraley?
Second.
Ms. Lepley? Any discussion? All those in favor? Passed unanimously. First reading of student registered sex offenses, file JKCA. Mr. Llewellyn.
Legislature has created a new class of registrant. They're called juvenile registrants. These are individuals who are required to be registered, but they're a minor, 14 years or older. So we had to add that definition. The regulation is next for review, and I had to plug in that juvenile registrant into the regulation. So the policy first and then the regulation, but that's what you're voting on. We recommend passage.
I'll need a motion to consider the first reading of file JKCA.
Motion to approve the first reading of file JKCA.
Ms. Lepley?
Second.
Mrs. Bender? Any questions? All those in favor? Passed unanimously. Next is consider regulation review of student registry. Is that in the first part?
Yeah, so it's a regulation. I've already explained it. Unless the board votes to send it back to policy committee, it's just a review and it becomes effective.
So we don't need to do anything
That's
with that.
correct.
Again, Mr. Llewellyn, approve and authorize superintendent to execute assignment and assumption of ground lease and whatever certificate.
Yeah, so as the board knows, when the Board of Education took title to the property that now has Alleghany High School built upon it, that property came subject to a long-term ground lease to what was previously known as the Lions Center, which is now known, I think, as Peace Healthcare Nursing Home. The lease provides that that ground lease cannot be assigned without the consent of the board. The tenant is asking for the assignment. These documents affect that assignment. That assignment is not to be unreasonably withheld. I have reviewed the assignment at length with their counsel, and so they meet our criteria for that assignment. And so what I'm recommending to you is that you make a motion and vote to authorize the superintendent to execute the two documents in your packet which affect the board's consent of that assignment. I hope that's clearer than mud, but I think you get it. So we're looking for a motion for the superintendent for the board to authorize the superintendent to execute these documents.
So we need a motion.
I move to approve and authorize the superintendent to execute assignment and assumption of the ground lease and the estoppel certificate.
Motion made by Dr. Bond,
Second.
second by Ms. Bender. Any questions? All those in favor? Passed unanimously. You're good to do it. Got it. Reports, student board member, Aylwin. You have anything you want to tell us?
Not too much. Just our last at Casey's meeting, we were just going over our future meeting. Our next meeting is October 17th. It'll just be our kickoff of the whole of ACPS. It'll be located at Mountain Ridge. It'll be fun, and we're gonna have some interesting activities and workshops for everyone. That's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. Any questions from board members? Okay. Thank you. Any board member updates?
Just real quickly, it was noted last time that we moved our board meeting in October because of the MABE conference. I just wanted to be clear that I will be attending the MABE conference as a member of their board, as well as a past president. That allows me free registration to attend the conference, and it's on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I'll be going up on a Sunday night because I'm part of the conference program committee as well. So we're looking forward to that. The new superintendent, the state superintendent will be there, as well as some legislators. So it'll be interesting, and a lot of good information is coming out.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I do want to remind, Ms. Fraley brought it up, our next board meeting will be October 15th. It will not be on the regularly scheduled second Tuesday. So we'll be moving to October 15th to accommodate the MABE conference. Nothing else. I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Dr. Bond,
Second.
Mrs. Bender, all those in favor? Adjourned.